All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Jeremy Brumm. I'm the middle school principal at Lutheran South Academy in Houston, Texas. I don't know if you can see the picture. Uh, if anybody can see the picture, just put a big old yes. That's me. And then the crazy lady behind me
Thank you.
is Sheila Psencik. She is our head of school, formerly the middle school principal here at LSA, and she is the one that started family groups, and what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, people, no comments about how crazy I am. Come on. I apologize now for the intermittent coughing. I can't help it.
All right, so we're going to get started and share with you what is middle school family groups. So what is it? It's very similar to an advisory program where a teacher is connected to a group of students and meets with them on a regular basis. What we've done at our school is that every student in middle school, boys and girls, grades 6 through 8, are evenly divided into smaller groups. And for us, we have a class body or a school body size of 205 students, and that gets us to 12 teachers. That gets us class sizes of 17 to 18 students. And we meet for 30 minutes every day except for Wednesdays. So Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then Fridays is we do chapel, and we sit as a family group during chapel. Family groups is we take all of our students or all of our teachers. The one person that isn't used is the principal. So I don't have a family group. When we started this originally, we decided that the principal, due to their schedule, it would be hard to make sure that they're there every day, and also we didn't want to have students have a different relationship with the principal than other people. So the principal is not included in family groups. Now, when we started it 3 years ago, I wasn't the principal, so I had my own family group, and I do miss my family group very much. So that's the gist of family groups. Don't be afraid if or if you have questions at any point. Don't hesitate to type it in and ask it. We'll be happy to answer any questions that might come to mind, and we'll keep on going. So how did it start? Back in the spring of 2010, we had a faculty meeting, and this started with a discussion on the connection that our students are making to people here at LSA. It's very easy to connect with the students, and but at the same time, there's students that can get left behind.
We noticed that at our faculty meetings several months in a row that the same names were being brought up of students that were either having behavior issues or having academic issues, and they were being brought up by several different teachers that they had throughout the day. But what we were noticing is that it wasn't until faculty meetings when we were connecting the dots that this child was having problems in multiple areas, because there wasn't anyone who was specifically watching that child and the scope of their day, not just what was happening within their own class and their own experience with the students that were having issues. So we decided that we would, well, I decided at the time that I'd run a little exercise at our faculty meeting, and I had our secretary print out the names of every student in the middle school on large paper, poster-sized paper, and we hung them around the classroom that we were meeting in. And then when the faculty came in, I asked them to go around to each of the poster boards, and this was every student we had in 6th through 8th grade was listed, and put their initials next to students that they felt like they had a personal connection to. Like if this student was having an issue at home, or if this student was having a problem here at school, they think this student would actually come to them, seek them out, and ask them for their help. And so they did that. And it was kind of a fun activity. And, there were a lot of kids, those outgoing kids that are involved in everything, that they had 5 or 6 exercise was over with. But what we saw, can I skip ahead? What we saw was that we had, like, I believe it was about 20 students at the time that did not have one single initial by their name. And this was, I kind of knew that this was going to happen from what was happening at the meetings and these same names coming up, and no one was taking ownership for these kids. But I had no idea that it was going to be as many as 20. And so I think we all sat there just kind of stunned at that meeting at how in our environment, where we're this small, close community, and we pride ourselves on the sense of family, how was this happening that 20 kids were literally falling through the cracks in our small building of 11 classrooms? So it was quite an eye opener for us. There we go. Another really interesting thing that came out of that exercise is that our 8th grade teachers at the meeting didn't even know who our 6th grade students were. And like I said, we have, how many classrooms are in this building? Is there 12 classrooms in this building? And it was, at the time, 3 of our teachers did not know the name of pretty much a single 6th grader unless it happened to be the child of a faculty member, which I guess, I don't know, I didn't expect that. And that was something that was happening. We didn't know all the kids in our building. And so we came up with this plan that we were going to do family groups. And right then and there, we decided that we were going to make a purposeful change. And our goal as a faculty was, we are going to connect with 100% of our students, and not necessarily every adult to every student, but we were going to make sure that there was not a single student who was not being watched after or who was falling through the cracks in our middle school. And so we came up with the concept of family groups, which Jeremy said earlier was loosely based on the idea of advisory groups, but it's much more involved, as you'll see as we keep going here.
We wanted to make sure that that when we created this family groups, that no matter what student came through our doors, they would have at least one family member that they could, or one teacher that they could connect with. We also wanted to make sure that our really cool 8th graders that rule the school and are scared out of their wits 6th graders, that as they're walking up and down the hallways, that they can learn into an environment where they can appreciate one another. And so our 6th graders, quite a bit now, you'll see them in the 8th grade hallway, and you'll see our 8th graders up in the 6th grade area, which prior to this, we really had never had that happen.
Not at all.
The connection between 6th and 8th graders just wasn't there. Since we've been doing family groups,
in fact, the 6th graders were afraid of the 8th graders. It was very much like a senior-freshman relationship. It was not good.
So what we make sure to do, and that we've seen the benefits of, is that every family group, and there are some pictures of family groups, it has 8th graders and 6th graders, and they've come to look after each other. The 8th graders have come to look after their family members, their 6th graders, and that happens across for all the families, that every group of 8th graders, 5 or 6 students, has a connection with 5 or 6 6th graders, that they know them. The other thing that we've done with family groups is that we've incorporated a character curriculum through different lessons and activities, and we've included Bible studies, and we'll show you some of those. Now, a lot of this stuff that we've created has been created by begging, borrowing, and stealing. We've been pulling from resources all across, anything we can get our hands on that we think that we can go with it. It has been completely teacher created, though. So each week we have a Bible study in the family group setting, where we have 18 people or so. The other unique thing about family groups is that there's no grades, there's no homework. The only requirement for family group, and when I was a family group leader, the only requirement was that they showed up and they participated. That at least each week or each day that the students participated and shared, that they were active in the discussion, that they weren't just sitting there, gossiping with their friends, but they were there participating. The relationships that have been created in this family group. The family group is a very relaxed environment. It's not your normal academic setting in the classroom. It's much more relaxed. When I had my family group, we sat in a big circle. We never sat at the desks, but it was very much a discussion and an open type of environment. We've talked about a lot of these things, that that we have at least one adult that monitors each student's academics, attendance, and social behavior. So that connection, we do make this purposeful during our weekly activities. That the teacher will monitor the students' academics and attendance, and monitor them how they behave socially. What has been unique is that while I am now out of the family group, I don't have one, and I only had it for 1 year. I only had a family for 1 year. My 8th graders and 7th graders, who are now sophomores and freshmen, they still come up to me and greet me by my family group name, which was, they called me Uncle Brumm. They thought about doing Papa Brumm or Daddy Brumm, but it felt weird. It was a little awkward, I'll be honest. I wasn't married then. I still don't have any kids. One's on the way. So being called Papa or Daddy Brumm was just, we didn't go with that. So we went with Uncle Brumm. Still to this day, I walk down the hall, and my family group members, when I go to the high school, they still greet me as, "Hey, what's up, Uncle Brumm?" And I'm like, "What up, cuz?" And now I know you're probably thinking clearly I should have gone niece or nephew. It was just easier for me that way to say cuz, because then I didn't have to remember. I didn't have to remember if the boy was the niece or the nephew. It was just real quick. But those relationships, I'm still carrying them. Now 2 years since I've had a family, I'm still had those relationships, and I only had it for 1 year. That I can. Those are the kids that when I go to the high school, those are the kids that seek me out, and I have now a relationship with, where prior I wouldn't have. The other thing that we do is that we do go to chapel together. That first year that we switched it up. Now at LSA we have 3 chapels. We have a lower school chapel, pre-K 3 through 5th. We have a middle school chapel, 6 through 8, and we have a high school chapel, 9 through 12. So middle school has their own chapel. That first year when we switched it up, prior to that, when we'd gone to chapel, we had been sitting with our classes. So 6th grade was on the front on one side, 7th grade was on the front and the other side, and the 8th grade had the back on both sides.
It was like free seating within your own grade level.
And during chapel, we had there was a lot of talking at times.
Especially amongst the 8th graders in the back.
The 8th graders in the back thought, they're in the back, they can do whatever they want. Well, that first year, our student council leaders just, they threw a fit. They wanted it to get back and changed.
They were revolting against the fact that they had lost the privilege to sit in the back and not pay attention.
Specifically the new 8th graders, that they thought they now lost out on that chance.
Because they had earned the right to not pay attention in chapel.
So
we're like, yes, exactly. This is why we're doing this.
We will. We haven't had a problem. After that first year,
yeah,
it's been great to have chapel like that. So family group, the basic structure is that we meet 4 days a week for 30 minutes at the same time. So the way we've set it up is that we meet right after second period. So between second and third period, we get a 30-minute family group. Now, our normal day has 8 periods, and what we did is we sucked a little bit of time from every class across the board to squeeze in this extra 30 minutes. If you're with us 2 weeks ago, we were doing exploratories, and exploratories kind of fit right in with this on Wednesdays, and that's why we only meet 4 days a week, because Wednesdays is exploratories, and we tucked exploratories right in there to make the time work out. So what do we do on Mondays? For us, on Mondays, we have we call check-in day. So the leader will check up on each student academically, and it varies from teacher to teacher. Most of them will have the student email them how they are doing. So every student at LSA has their own computer. So they look up their grades and they email it to the teacher. Other teachers will just make the student open up their computer, log into RenWeb, and come and show the teacher their computer and their grades and how they're doing. It's never a shout out. We don't make each kid stand up in front of everybody and share their grades. It's shared privately with the teacher. But each teacher is checking up on how they are doing academically, reminding them about things that are coming up, and making sure that academics, if they're struggling, reminding them what they need to do to get help. Monday is also check-in day on how they are socially and how they are personally. Every Monday we provide a table topic question. Something that, and there's actually they're called table topic, and you can get these little cards. So each week we look up a card and we send it out and we have a discussion.
So give an example.
An example of who would be somebody that you would want to meet that is dead. What was your greatest? What's been your most favorite vacation? Ranging all sorts of ranging from personal to fun to silly to serious. We offer that. We'll also have discussions on Monday about chapel last Friday and what it meant and the significance of that. So check-in day is a wide range of things, but it's also a check-in day of the student and how they did over maybe the weekend. When we know that a student is involved in something, we're going to then make sure and be purposeful in asking them, hey, Jimmy, how was the baseball tournament that you were in? So they're having that connection with somebody that wants to know about them.
It's kind of like sitting around the dinner table and talking about your day with your family, except you're talking about your week with your family group.
Yeah. So that is Mondays. Tuesdays we do a Bible study and a film clip. We start off by doing a film clip, and the film clip, we've gotten film clips from two resources. Filmclipsonline.com is one, and that's where we started with it 2 years ago. But they only have 89 clips, and they ran out. So we had to find a second source, and we are using wingclips.com for our third year of clips.
Is Wingclips cost money?
They both cost money. Yeah, they're both cost money to purchase the clips.
Or
Film Clips is a purchase. Wing Clips is a purchase, but you can also do subscription as well.
Okay.
So we'll choose a film clip, and then the teachers will then have take that film clip, that topic that it's about, and then use it with a Bible study. I'll show you now a film clip that we have from Film Clips Online. Whoops. Matt, yeah, thank you. So this is from Film Clips Online.
Honesty? You want honesty? All right, honestly, I think you're nothing. Nothing but a pure waste of God-given talent. You don't listen to nobody, man. Not even Dr. Boone. Shiver push on the line every time, man. You blow right past him. Push him, pull him, do something. You can't run over everybody in this league. And every time you do, you leave one of your teammates hanging out to dry. Me in particular.
Why should I give a hoot about you? Huh? Or anybody else out there? You want to talk about a waste? You the captain, right?
Right.
Captain's supposed to be the leader, right?
Right.
You got a job?
I have a
you
job.
You been doing your job?
I've been doing my job.
Then why don't you tell your white buddies to block for Rev B? If they have not blocked for him, worth a plug nickel, and you know it. Nobody plays, yourself included. I'm supposed to wear myself out for the team? What team? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look out for myself, and I'm going to get mine.
See, man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
So that would be an example of a video. that with Film Clips Online, they had this question that went along with it, and they provided that question at the end of every video. Wing Clips doesn't have that feature at the end of each thing, but we still then have discussion about it. So after we watch a film clip, and the film clip from there, that's from Remember the Titans. It could be from Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Finding Nemo, Ice Age, Forrest Gump, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It comes from a wide range of movies, and any movie that has a character type of message, we incorporate that. And so once we have that clip, the teachers then will either create a Bible study or choose a Bible study from something that they have found from our resources, and they will use that then to have a discussion in a Bible study with the family groups. And each month we have a different theme that will play along, that overarches everything. So we've talked about respect, we've talked about love, we've talked about hate, we've talked about bullying, we've talked about generosity, all sorts of stuff that we've talked about for each month or so. So that's Tuesdays. Tuesdays are the film clip followed with the Bible study after that. Wednesdays are exploratories. That was last week's or 2 weeks ago. Thursdays is an activity or a life application. Just depending on what it is, whatever a teacher comes up with is going to be what Thursday is going to be. It's usually an activity to get the students moving and thinking about Tuesday's Bible study. Whenever I created them, I always like to do a physical game. So I like to do a physical game that kind of brought back what we talked about on Tuesday. We've done songwriting, we've done plays, painting and drawing, writing cards, praying. We've had discussions, we've done debates. During the month of Christmas, we do a gift exchange. We have, during spring break, we do not spring break, National Lutheran Schools Week, we do what's called a Family Feud Day. This is where we have like activities outside, but rather than competing against grade levels or homerooms, we compete against family groups. And that's a lot of fun for the entire afternoon. And what we actually do for that day is, in the morning, we do some spring cleaning, where we send 200 students across campus to help clean it up on a variety of projects. And then at the end, afternoon, after lunch, we have activities out on the football field for the rest of the day. The activities and the life applications is created completely by teachers, or it's all out of ideas from teachers, and it's pretty unique. So here is what some of the things that we've done. This is on a
Family Feud Day.
On Family Feud Day, we had the students do some cleaning. So we got some buses out there, and each family group has a different color during that day, and so they just they get all dressed up and get working. So we did some bus cleaning. This is in the afternoon. We have some play time, and as you can see, the rainbow of colors that is out there. This is in here. This right here, you have 3 6th graders on the left with an 8th grader on the back right. Not something you normally see in a middle school, 8th grader hanging out with 3 6th graders. This was during our gift exchange. On our gift exchange, what we did for our gift exchange is that we asked each student to bring something in that they currently have that they don't use anymore but still has value. And then we exchange it with other people in the classroom, kind of like a white elephant exchange. And and then we talk about how we can find meaning in things that we might have, but we don't have any value of it, but somebody else might have value in it that we might not realize. Question Bill asked, who conducts chapel? At LSA, we have a chapel coordinator, more music leader is what her main purpose is. She leads music. She'll introduce and welcome the students. Courtney is her name. She is the leads the chapel band. The high school chapel band plays for the middle school and high school, and she'll lead and welcome everyone and introduce the speakers. So she's the one that does that.
Our speakers for chapel we get from either area churches or it's teachers or principals. We set the speaker schedule for the year, and I do that out of the head of school office. And we try to get speakers that can do all three levels when they come from the outside, and then we have our teachers fill in all of the other spots, and it works. So we just give that information to Courtney, and then she contacts them and gets it all set up for what music they want and what they're doing.
We have not named our groups. That's not something we've ever done before, per se, in terms of throughout the entire school year. During the spring, the Family Feud Day,
yeah.
then they give themselves names, but we don't carry that throughout the entire year. No. I don't know if I put the picture. Mrs. Motley is one of our teachers. Her name is Mrs. Motley, and her group decided that they were going to be called the Motley Crew. So for their family day. Here we have an 8th grader and a 6th grader. I'm not sure if the 6th grader was ready for the picture. Again, here's a 7th and a 6th grader here working together. And then, as I said, on Fridays, we sit together at chapel. So there you have, from the right, you have an 8th grader, 6th grader, an 8th grader, a 7th grader, and 8th grader, all sitting together. We really enjoyed how our students have gotten to know one another, especially the 6th graders and the 8th graders. As we said, all of our Bible studies, activities, film clips that were created are either created or chosen by the LSA Middle School. Because obviously we don't create the film clips; we purchase those. But the activities and Bible studies, we've gone out and we've done all that hard work to get all that. At the end of this school year, this will be our completed 3rd year. So next year, we've done all the creating. Next year, we're going to start with year 1. We've cycled through 3 grade levels. We'll do year 1 again, and nobody will have a repeat except for the teachers. So it'll be nice.
There's been some tweaking along the way in what we do, but it actually, like looking at what we're doing now, it's going to be very easy to go back and adjust year 1 to fit what's working now.
Yes, parents are invited to our chapels. We at the middle school we get 2 or 3 each week. In the lower school, there's usually a ton of parents. High school, maybe 1 or 2 as well. So, what are some of the things that we've seen? And we've talked about a lot of these already, but just to put them down in writing, we've seen improved communication. We've seen this amongst parents, amongst teachers, amongst students, that when we have eyes on everybody, or as best we can, we have eyes on everybody. When teachers notice something, getting that information to the parents right away, bringing it up to the administration, it's been very helpful. Quick question: yes, family groups are only in the middle school. We do not have them in the lower and the high school. We'll talk about that at the end, but just to touch on it right now.
Interesting thing with the communication. Now, when it used to be like when a student is having a problem in a class, and either that teacher contacts the student or contacts the parent, right away the teacher's the one delivering the bad news that your student is not doing well, or even if the principal has to contact the parent and say, your student's really not doing well. When now with the family group leader, if the family group leader contacts the parent, it's different somehow in that the family group leader is your child's advocate, and so right away you're starting this conversation with, I'm calling because I'm here to help, even though that's what the teacher and the principal were doing too. The dynamics of that has changed though, because the family group leader is not reporting what's going on in their class or what's going on in from the teacher's or the principal's aspect, like your student's going to get in trouble. They're reporting to the parent as your child's advocate, which just changes the dynamics of that conversation and has really toned down some of that parent conflict that, you know, we all experience from time to time.
Certainly, obviously, we've seen, you know, I would say nearly a 100% of the staff and student relationships, you know, in terms of making sure everybody has a connection. We talked about that early intervention. The question is, how did the groups work together? Excuse me, in your full schedule for time. So basically, what we've done is we've chopped off about 4 minutes from each class or so. So our regular periods, we have 8 periods in the day. Our regular periods are now 42-minute classes, and our family group is 30 minutes. And we've snuck family group in right between second and third period, and really we could sneak it in wherever we want. The reason why we sneak it in between second and third period, that's also the exact same time when we have chapel. So we've made sure to put that right when chapel is.
That's a good question, Patrick. That was a big fear going into the first year, and I think that has, I don't know, the first year I feel like that was probably more of a problem. The question is, do you have any teachers that aren't really into it, and how do you encourage them? I think we had some skeptics the first year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And I think, has that improved?
I think it's improved. Do we have that? I think yes is the answer. I think you're always going to have that. You know, that they'll do what's required, but then you know, they'll spend the remaining, you know, they've got, if they get done with their devotion in 10 minutes, with 10 minutes left, or even if they get the devotion done in 10 minutes, they're happy to let the students have a free time. A break where they can sit and chit-chat, or they sit and do homework. So yes, when that is when that has come up or been brought to our attention, I've stepped in very quickly to let people know that family group has to be consistent for everybody. That we can't have students going, well,
I wish I was in so-and-so.
I wish I was in somebody else's family because they got to do this and we had to do the devotion. You know, and we've heard that. And so when that's happened, you know, we've stepped in and mentioned to that teacher that this has to be the top priority. This isn't and never can or never will be a time for study hall, but it's not prep time for the teacher. That's probably one of the biggest things to get across to the teachers. It's not your prep time for you to do what you want. How do you encourage them? It's just a reminder to them that this is ultimately for the students, that we need to make sure that we are connecting with the students and that we work with them, and this is our time to make that connection. Maria has a question. Do your students see the purpose of the time? Do they look forward to the time? I would say yes. I think my student, when I had it, I hope my students looked forward to that time. Based on how they view me later, you know, after they moved on to 9th grade and 10th grade, the way that they still come up to me and say hello, I certainly believe that they had a good time. That I know I made connections with people that I never would have had an opportunity to. And I still have those connections. So I do believe that, yes, that they look forward to that time. I know I did. Certainly there were days when I didn't, that when I was like, oh, man. But it was something that I reminded myself, this isn't necessarily for me. It's for the kids. It's for that, creating that relationship, creating that family here at LSA. On most 99% of the days I looked forward to it. Certainly there were days when I didn't, and so certainly there are kids that don't look forward to it at times. But for the most part, we try to make and that's why whenever I created the Thursday activities, I always wanted it to be a get-going activity. I never wanted it to be an activity where you just sat there and did a worksheet or something, that you were always getting up and moving. That we either could go outside. You did we've done several where you have to trust people and you're closing your eyes and blindfolded, and just whatever activity I could find, that's what I did for Thursday, so that anytime they went to Thursday family group, they were looking forward to doing something fun that got them moving, that they just weren't sitting there. Because on Mondays and Tuesdays, you know, with the Bible study, you're just sitting there for the most part. So Thursdays, I always made sure we were up and moving.
I have an 8th grade daughter, and I can tell you from her perspective, she loves family group. Loves going every day, loves the other kids in her family group, loves her family group leader. So I think it's just been positive. Early intervention is another one, and I think that we have seen less discipline issues. I think that we have seen from it less academic issues. I mean, we don't have nearly as many people on the ineligible list as we used to. I think we've seen teachers all around who are not nearly as afraid of the parents as they used to be. And, you know, there's always going to be scary parents, but I think our teachers are doing a much better job of reaching out early because they see what it does when you have that relationship, you know, before there's a problem. So I think those have all been really good changes. As far as school climate goes, the difference is amazing in how it is walking the halls. From the first year that we were over here in our own self-contained building, it definitely was the 8th graders rule the school and everybody else better stay out of their way. And I think that's part of just being in our own building. They're the oldest, and they were going to take full advantage of that. I think with the family groups, that has really cut down those walls, and the kids kind of just flow as a student body now, and there's not necessarily the big fish in the pond anymore. It's nice. It's really nice. I don't know.
It's been weird. The school climate. There's been several times where I've actually kicked a 6th grader out of an 8th grader hallway. Like, he's down there so much that where usually you never see a 6th grader there. You know, sometimes the little 6th graders can get a little, you know, annoying to 8th graders, and so, you know, I kindly remind them, hey, you know, why don't you head upstairs? But that would have been unheard of.
Yeah.
For the 8th graders to even allow him to be down there is amazing. And so, you know, I see it sometimes that, you know, I can see them getting annoyed, so I'll have them move on. But the fact that a 6th grader is even okay doesn't even bother him to come down to the 8th grade hallways is pretty amazing for us, at least. Yes, this certainly could be used at all levels. For taking exactly what we have and transferring it to the middle school or even a high school is very doable. Middle school, yeah, certainly to the middle school. It would be a struggle, I think, to transfer it lower. You would definitely have to.
You'd have to use it completely differently. I mean, you could use the concept, I think, but you'd have to
certainly
definitely.
I'm
saying
curriculum
would have to be changed.
I'm saying the content that we've created.
Right.
You know, like, you know, I could certainly copy and paste everything, and it'd work great for even a high school level. It would work.
Somebody asked earlier if we do this in the high school, and we do not do it in the high school. However, I think the ramifications of it are being felt at the high school level already from the 2 classes that have already gone over there, and I think that's just going to continue to be a benefit for our kids from our middle school that are moving to our high school. They already know, and they have kids that are older than them that are going to be looking out for them from day one when they walk into our high school.
Yeah.
Which is neat to see.
The only thing that we can't share are the video clips, and we were talking about this. How could we, you know, like, sell this and make some money for ourselves? But then we realized that most of the stuff that we have has been borrowed.
Somebody else has already copyrighted it.
Yeah, somebody else has already created it, and we're just using it. So
that'd be a whole lot of work.
We'll be happy to send it to people upon request. If you would. Send me an email. That will be the easiest way for me to get it to you. By the way, my name is Jeremy Brumm, Phil. I don't know if we've ever met before. And so either send an email to myself or actually send it to me. I'm the one that has all of the information, and I can get it to you. What I'll do is I can give you a Dropbox link that you can go and peruse through it and look at.